and welcome back to Sending the Wolf. My name is Clarke Wolfe. Great to see you all. I hope everyone is staying safe out there, having a good day, having a good week so far. Um, we have a ton of stuff to talk about today. There is no shortage of stories or pieces of conversation to have. Forgive me as I adjust this ring light. I'm going to be honest with you. This was a mad dash today. A lot going on behind the scenes, but we're hanging in there. As always, please feel free to say hello in the chat, chime in, or you're welcome to lurk as well. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Xavier. Happy Thursday to you, Andrew. Thank you so much. Gosh, lots, like I said, lots to chat about. Hi, Alvi. Hi, Kingsport. Hi, good to see you. Hi, Mirror Domains. Great to see you. Hi, another Mr. Lizard. Good evening to you across the pond. How's everyone doing? My camera's a little off center, but that's all right. Big day today. Oscars. Hello. How fun. Thank you so much. Kings, that's so sweet. Or King, that's so sweet. I really appreciate that. Hi, Mike. Great to see you. Yeah, I'm happy to be back. And thank you to everybody who joined the Christian Harloff show yesterday while I was on. That was a lot of fun. A spicy conversation, to say the least, per usual, with my good buddy Christian. So a couple of housekeeping things real fast. First of all, as always, you are invited to check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Clarke Wolfe. You can join for free. There are various tiers. We got our Discord up and running. Hi, Vincent. Great to see you. I am back for more, Xavier. I sure am. So Patreon, multiple tiers. We set up our Discord for our $5 and higher users. So if you did not get that notification, check it out. The link is there for you. And it's been popping off over there. That's been really fun. And we are scheduled this weekend to do our first watch along for our watch along level tier. I think you all have chosen Abigail, which I haven't seen. So it's going to be really fun. I love radio silence, though. So that's going to be fun. Andrew already joined the Discord. Great. Great to, yeah, I think I've seen you over there. Hi, Zach. Great to see you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be back. And for those of you who are maybe just finding me because of the Christian Harloff show, there are a handful of episodes already up, including two of my favorites, actually. We did our I did a audience Q&A, so people from all across the platforms sent questions. That was really fun to answer. And then we also did a best of the year, and a look forward about movies and TV and pop culture that we're all looking forward to. So a lot of Superman talk, a lot of industry chat. They were great episodes. So you can find them all in the Sending the Wolf playlist right here on YouTube, youtube.com/official Clarke Wolfe. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, but I think most of you have. Yeah, the Discord's where all the cool people are. We're having a good time on the Discord, and Grandma's learning how to use the Discord. But I was very proud of myself. I didn't even have to Google how to add a channel for you all to share your favorite news stories. I was able to just figure it out on my own. I was very proud. And the watch along this weekend is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. And of course, if you join the $20 tier, we've got a Sending the Wolf, or excuse me, a Wolf's Call episode coming, which we only have a handful of those members, but they get to choose what the topic is. So we're going to do a real deep dive into something. So that's going to be really fun. So yeah, as I mentioned, hi, Ronan. Great to see you. A lot of news today. As for just a little quick Southern California check-in, there was the Hughes fire up north, just a little further north than Los Angeles, city of Los Angeles. That spread really quickly yesterday. That was a little scary. We also had a little situation in Sherman Oaks. That was pretty scary. But the incredible LA Fire Department and all of the people who have come together to support our local fire department here in Los Angeles have been kicking ass. I mean, they really, really have done a lot in a quick amount of time. So fortunately for right now, it looks like those fires are not spreading. So that's great. Hi, Steve. Still a little on edge down here, but we might get some rain this weekend, so that would be good. Just in case you're interested in a little city update. And then as always, Malum, my one of my faves. Malum is streaming on AMC Plus and Shudder in the United States. So that's other things you can check me out on. Okay, so since we have a really big show today and there is no shortage of topics, and thank you to everybody who added potential topics, not only in the Discord, but on the Patreon, I think we should just go ahead and get into it. All right, so as a result, let me find the tabs. Hi, Vincent. Great to see you. Um, Hold on. What did you say? Yeah, King, I see you. Hope Roka's okay in San Diego. I have other girlfriend out in San Diego, and she said that the fires were taken care of pretty quickly out there over the last couple of days. So that's good. Um, yeah, Vincent. So just give a quick update on the fires. Rufus and I are safe for now. So yeah, for sure. And Mike says it snowed every day this week where I am. Oh my gosh. Yeah, of course, y'all know I spend a lot of time in Atlanta, my hometown where I'm from. And yeah, they got snow again yesterday too. It's like, it's crazy. When I was a kid, when we were growing up, we would get snow every now and again. But now, I mean, they get like real winter. So pretty crazy. And I see, oh, and to answer your question, King, I don't know what the best horror film of 2024 was, but my favorite, I think, was The First Omen. I really just keep coming back to how much I really enjoyed that. Hey Gishgali, say you watched Nosferatu last night. Okay. So do you give it Nosferatu thumbs up? I did it. I had to. There's a lot of Robert Eggers news. I feel like, yeah, like when on Monday when I was putting the show together, I was like, oh, it's a little bit of a light news time, and then but we certainly had plenty to talk about amongst us. And in the last 72 hours, I feel like in addition to the Oscar nominations, I feel like every major entertainment news story has broken. So it's a lot of stuff, a lot going on. Andrew Thomas, I'm rewatching Nosferatu tomorrow night since I got it on digital. Awesome. Love that. Zach says, I'm in Birmingham. I grew up here. It's been freezing. Glad it didn't snow. I'm in a wheelchair, so that would not have been good for my wheels. Oh no, Zach. We gotta antifreeze. We gotta get you some antifreeze, right? For your wheels. But I'm glad that it didn't snow for you too. And what else we got here? Okay, yeah, King, that is true. Hashtag not sponsored, but Nosferatu is available on digital now. You could take it home now. You could bring Orlok home with you and his little mustache. I feel like maybe what we should do for our Wolf's Call tier of Patreon is like, I could do a deep dive into Nosferatu Eggers movie for sure. I think it's just so intricate, like it's so involved that yeah, I just like I could talk about it even if I like, despite how I feel about it, which I like it very much, as we discussed a couple of shows ago. But I feel like I could talk about it for hours and hours. Ishgali says one of those movies where the filmmaking is intoxicating even before the story kicked in. Don't remember the original, but I loved this one. Yeah, it's very close to the original Gishgali in a lot of ways, but that first hour, it really, for me, cooks. You know what I mean? That's the most to me, having grown up on the Murnau movie because my brother was such a big fan. That's where, Eggers is really doing his thing that first hour. So, and congratulations to Nosferatu, 4 Academy Award nominations today, including Best Cinematography, which, y'all, I mean, I can't imagine that it'll actually win, but holy cow, the way that movie is shot and lit, just so technically stunning. I'm telling you, when I saw it on IMAX, I just was like, I was blown away. I mean, and we know I'm a big Robert Eggers fan, so no one needs to explain to me about his wonderful craft, but like it was just, I felt like everything came together and just the visuals absolutely stunning. And then that Orlok's final moment, which I won't say, if you've seen that iconic shot, you know what it looks like in the Murnau movie. It looks very different in this one, but all three times I have seen that final moment with Orlok, and you know which one I'm talking about. My soul, it just gets so happy because it is just one of the most exceptional, incredible horror images, genre images, I feel like I've ever seen. Um and Chris, hi Chris. So happy The Substance got nominated for Best Picture, and to me too. Almost makes up for Toni Collette not getting in for Hereditary. I'm very, very happy, very, very happy for Coralie and the whole Substance team. Let's get into it. I mean, a lot of really great surprises and snubs, I will say. I know it seems sort of like hack to talk about snubs, but man, I gotta tell you, John Chu not getting that best director nom, I'm sorry. That's insane. That's crazy. You know, I talk about this a lot, but the idea that when you make it look easy, and I have to say, I feel like John Chu was just so in his element. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He executed what his vision was flawlessly, but also from a technical perspective, I just don't understand how. I mean, I do understand because the Academy doesn't care. So it's like, but maybe though, maybe Wicked colon for good. Um there will be room for him. Maybe they're kind of doing a Return of the King thing where they're like, all right, let's get it all in there. Um, let's see. My old King, I see you. My old ass and Strange Darling. Oh, Strange Darling, I love. That was in my top 5 for sure. King. That was definitely in my top 5 horror movies for sure. I loved it. I loved it. Totally, totally. Can't get my hair to cooperate today. I don't like these headphones. It's fine. What do we got here in the chat? Let's see. Andrew says Bram Stoker's Dracula won for the costumes, and I feel like Nosferatu will get the same. Really? Now, Andrew, I will say that the costumes in Bram Stoker's Dracula are just they're works of art. They're also insane. Like, I feel like I had never, I mean, but Nosferatu was nominated for best costumes. So, you know, maybe they will. Although, gosh, if I'm sorry, I gotta say, objectively, I feel like Wicked was not. Well, let's look at the nominees. What am I doing? Yammering on. Let's just pull up the nominees. Hold on. Let me get my tabs situated. Here we go. But yeah, a lot of big news today. A lot of exciting news today. I tell you what, that Devil in the White City news, my oh my. That fool me once, Marty and Leo. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, or 3 times, or 4 times, shame on me. You know, what's its what's? I read a theory when they announced the Hulu adaptation of they announced the Hulu adaptation of Devil in the White City like a year or two ago with Keanu Reeves involvement. And I read this, like, I think it was like maybe it was a Twitter thread, maybe it was a theory, whatever it was, and they just basically the person was saying, you know something, um they're never going to make this. They just keep announcing it and keep putting it into motion, um so that they can keep the option. And I was like, You don't have to do it. You don't have to tell me." Steve says no love for Margaret Qualley. I know, but you know what, Steve? She's got a big career ahead of her. I think she's gonna be okay. Sincerely says Wicked for Best Picture. Argue with your grandma. You know what? I'm with you. I am with you. I love Wicked, so you know, I'll stand up for that one with you. I also think Wicked won't win on this nom, but part 2 will. Yeah, maybe. Well, we're gonna get into it, Gish golly. We are. Hold on. Of course it's a non-story. All this is a non-story. They do this every 2 years. But I think the story is that at least the version or like the article that I read was sort of more touting that Leo and Marty were going to team up again for Devil in the White City. Who knows? Oh, ZSH. Hi, ZSH. Happy belated birthday, ZSH. ZSH told us in the Discord that it was his birthday on Tuesday, if I recall. So, you know, yeah, sincerely, I see that. I see, and Mirror Domains brings it up too. Big snub for Denis Villeneuve. Um, they will give everything to Dune Part 3, probably. Alvi says if you could guarantee one nominee with your vote, what would it be and for what category? Chris, and then Chris says story for later. I'm so happy Toxic Avengers. But we will get to it, Chris. Don't you worry. I pulled that one. That one got brought up in the Discord. That one got brought up on Patreon. Like, we'll get into it. Alvi, let's see. If I could guarantee one nominee with my vote, what would it be and for what category? It's a good question. Let's go over the nominees and the story here. Okay, so Emilia Perez, 13 nominations. Emilia Perez, I have to say, feels like the most controversial, or excuse me, not controversial, I should say divisive. I have heard people say that they felt like it was the worst movie they've ever seen in their life. And then I have heard people say that it was their favorite movie of the year last year. And I got to say that's pretty incredible to be so divisive. But okay, so Emilia Perez leads the field with 10 nominations, followed by The Brutalist and Wicked with 10. There are always usually a few big curveballs. Yes. Okay. Angelina Jolie not nominated. Honestly, y'all, I didn't hear anybody talking about that. So, about Maria, that held no interest to me. Also, any clip I've seen of her singing opera, and then they try to tell me that that's her singing opera. I'm just like, can we not? That's, you don't just at 50 years old. No, that's crazy. So I'm sorry that Angie did not get her nomination, but maybe next time. Denzel, oh my gosh. But honestly, as per usual, but like best supporting actor this year, kind of stacked. I mean, a lot of really, really good, like great performances here. A lot of good. There's always an embarrassment of riches with the acting, but okay, let's see. Let's see. King says not controversial, just bad. Mike says the internet absolutely hates it. This is Amelia Perez. Sincerely says, do you think putting I'm Still Here in Best Picture is to make people shut up for Amelia Perez? Probably winning Best International. Oh, now that's interesting. I don't know if they're in direct competition. I don't know if that was the thought process here. But who knows? It's an interesting, like a really interesting theory, sincerely. Chris says my two locks to win right now are Demi and Zoe Saldana. I think it's Demi's year. I would be surprised if she didn't win. I think too because Cynthia Erivo has Wicked for Good coming. As we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I just saw Wicked on stage again. And actually, I really feel like Wicked Act 2, aka Wicked for Good, has a real shot at doing some incredible stuff. Like, it is by far of the two acts, the one that needs to be fleshed out the most. But so much good meaty stuff happens there. So I feel pretty strongly that like Wicked for Good could be amazing. We'll see. I'm actually very excited. Mike says he thought Amelia Perez was a weird mishmash of genres and musical numbers, but in the end I really liked it. Okay. Brazil is going nuts for I'm Still Here. You love to see it. Denzel's good. We know he has the GOAT. Yeah, agreed. He's okay. Gishgali says maybe now that her father is part of the Hollywood, yes, the Hollywood ambassadors, he can force them to add her. John Voight, yes, Angie will not get snubbed again. Hi, Stephanie. Great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Top Dog. The Oscars are just far too inside baseball right now. No one cares about it. But yeah, I saw a headline today that I think on the Atlantic that was like the Oscars have totally left people behind, and I was like, preach. Like, I'm a big advocate for like if The Dark Knight is one of the best movies made that year, then The Dark Knight needs to be nominated for Best Picture. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's one, what are we doing? So I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you, Top Dog. ZSH says, I have an hilarious, amazing story about how I came by a copy of Romeo and Juliet, James Gunn's first film. Yes, we will get to Toxie in just a bit. Sincerely says, I'm so happy for Sebastian Stan. I know. So I feel like I was talking about this on Christian's show yesterday. We were wondering if he was going to get a nomination at all. So not necessarily for which film, because of course he won the Golden Globe for in comedy or musical for A Different Man. Was not and then we were like, okay, is he going to get nominated for A Different Man because he just won the Golden Globes? The Apprentice has kind of been like a 50-50 kind of thing. I feel like some of the awards are embracing it and then some just are completely not. I have not seen A Different Man yet. I really want to, but I have seen The Apprentice, and I think he and Jeremy Strong are fantastic. They are excellent performances, and I would argue that I don't know. I would argue that no matter what, like as if you, it's not a caricature, as Christian and I talked about yesterday. The performance from Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice is not a caricature. It's fantastic. He's an incredible actor. Sincerely says 5 noms for The Substance and 4 for Nosferatu. A big win for horror. You know it. Let's get those snaps going. Okay. What else we have here? Cool. Hi, Acres. Great to see you. Stacy, hi. Should we take a moment now to assign The Substance its new genre that now we know it's not a horror film? Wait. Tell me more about this. What, Gishgali? What do you mean it's not a horror film? It's not a horror film because it was actually nominated for awards. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I see you, Acres of Movies, and Stacy saying favorite performances that won an Oscar between Dustin Hoffman and Rain Man or Robert Duvall and Tender Mercies. Loved it. Dustin Hoffman's a great. They both are incredible actors. And then Top Dog says again, Danny not being nominated for either of his Dune movies is a tragedy. All right. Oh, and Top Dog says, what's the controversy about The Brutalist? Something with AI. Yes. So we talked about this on our show Monday, Top Dog, but basically in some of the voiceover narration, the editor and the team used AI to smooth out some of the pronunciation in Hungarian. So both Felicity Jones and Adrian Brody speak Hungarian in the film, and there are letters. They write letters back and forth to one another, and so in order to perfect the pronunciations in some of these letters and voiceover narration, the post-production team utilized AI to fix that. I personally think that it was a silly decision because boy, you would never know unless you're a native speaker. And also I personally think that actors being imperfect with their pronunciations is part of being an actor. It's human and it's relatable. But it does seem to be a pretty big controversy, which I think is unfortunate. Okay. And then Bruce Crawford, hi Bruce, says, I hope Wild Robot wins. I love that film. Okay, so yeah, I think that Denis Villeneuve and John Cho, no, yeah, wait, not John Cho. What am I talking about? John M. Chu, excuse me. I think those are the two biggest snubs for me. Both of those, but then of course you have to lose somebody in the best director category. I'm gonna spit a hot take. Are you ready, everyone? My hot take is this: James Mangold should not have been nominated for A Complete Unknown. Timothy Chalamet. Oh, I'm forgetting the young lady who plays Joan Baez, but I was blown away by her. Like, I was just so impressed by her. Gosh, what is happening? And but yeah, I do not think that James Mangold should have taken one of those slots. So that's my hot take. Spicy. Okay. Nicole Kidman, Baby Girl, and Selena Gomez. So that's another big one. I'm curious how you all feel about that. About Selena not getting nominated. Amelia Perez has 13 nominations, and yeah, that was one that people felt like was really that's something people felt like it was kind of a sure thing. I like that you use a small screen instead of a big one, just as an observation. Oh, okay, good. Well, listen, I'm glad you like it, King, and also we know what the people are here for. This gorgeous mug. No, just kidding. Um, okay. Oh, Sincerely says that's not a hot take. Oh, and Sincerely says they agree. Interesting. Yeah, Vincent says I don't agree, but I would boot Amelia Perez out for Dinny. Um, Mangold is a good director, though. Oh, totally. For the record, I'm not saying, oh, James Mangold, not a good director. I just personally, I've seen A Complete Unknown. I think the acting is the strongest part of that movie, not the writing or directing. It's my hot take with all due respect. And Top Dog says I was surprised to see Mangold get the nomination. I'm here for Rufus. Bruce, we're all here for Rufus, aren't we? You know, it's funny when I was streaming on Fear HQ on Twitch all those years ago, Rufus really would come and he would sit next to me and he really would come over and like try to like talk come over and be involved. And now he just I think it's because he's older. He just sort of keeps to himself. I wish though. I wish he would come sit with me, but not today. Maybe I need to like put a bed in here. Actually, for those of you who are new and like you just saw me on Christian's show and are tuning in today, I moved a couple of weeks ago and then the fires happened and so like I moved on a Monday, finished moving on a Monday, Tuesday like started to get to work and then Wednesday Rufus and I left and evacuated for a few days and it just feels like this is a never ending project. And so he's probably not in here because it looks insane in my office slash studio space. ZSH says they think Selena will be okay. Yeah, I think you're right. Steve says I saw Complete Unknown and Nosferatu as a double feature on Tuesday. Steve, were you sitting in the theater for 8 hours on Tuesday? You picked the two longest movies ever to to get in there. Um love the day let's see, Acres of Movies, Love the Days with You and Schnepp, etc. Yep, those were fun. R.I.P. John Schnepp, love. And never used Twitch, so missed you during that time. Yep, I was on and King says I'm not a Twitch guy either. Didn't know I was on there. Yep, I was hosting shows for AMC Networks for 2+ years. What a time. Okay, what else? Let's keep going with the Oscar nominations. Jeremy Strong, that was a surprise. I was surprised by this as well. Again, not that it is undeserving, just that the Apprentice has been sort of like a little bit of a hot potato. And the Academy said, "Come here, Jeremy Strong." And then I saw, of course, it was Roy versus Roy, as in Jeremy Strong and Kieran Culkin are both nominated in the same category. Which, if you're a Succession fan, as I am, that was a fun little nod. Okay, so in terms of what I would call a snub, I'm gonna go Gladiator 2 not being nominated for Best Picture. Not a snub. I think that was never a real thing. But Denzel, man, I loved Denzel's performance in Gladiator 2. I loved it. I thought he was great. Also, Agree with Variety here. The Substance getting a Best Picture nomination. Can you believe? Can you believe? That was wild. I'm so excited about it though. I mean, it's really oh, thank you, Stephanie, for saying Fear HQ. It was fun. It was fun. Aker says director's branch has bias. They look at filmographies more than actual work. The director's category has been a little funky these last couple of years, that's for sure. I think one of the biggest snubs in that one was Greta Gerwig, and well, gosh, they just really don't want to nominate Greta Gerwig for anything for best director. Um, Whatever. She'll get her time. Let's see. Steve says I went to see Complete Unknown at 10 a.m. and then later saw Nosferatu at 2:30. Okay, so you took a little break there. Let's see. Denzel is such a great actor. A major snub for Marianne Jean Baptiste. Mike Lee. Yeah, there were a lot of great stuff. But anyway, so the substance, I think this is a pretty big story, I would argue. You know, the substance has a lot going for it. It's very subversive. I'm just surprised that the Academy is getting on board because they really don't like comedies, and I understand that the substance is a lot of different genres kind of rolled into one. It is absolutely horror. It's absolutely a satire and a dark comedy. It obviously has dramatic elements, but it is a really unabashed, in your face, you know, uh, movie, and it's a big broad movie. You know what I'm saying? Like when I heard it was a satire, I thought it was more kind of in the vein of like American Psycho or maybe the Coen brothers, like a little more dry when they say satire. I had no idea how broad the comedy and the how big the swings were going to be and exaggerated and heightened the world of the substance was going to be. Normally, this is not something the Academy, I would argue, recognizes. And they also don't, I mean, a lot of times too with the director category, it is such a tight squeeze that I'm really glad that they nominated Coralie. I think that what do you all think about best screenplay? Best original screenplay? I think The Substance is gonna win. Like Chris was saying, I think Demi is gonna win for actress, and I think The Substance is gonna win for best original screenplay. Um, but what else? Oh, hey, Alan Smithy. Haven't seen you in a while. You were supposed to laugh at American Psycho. Certain spots you were. That's for sure. Um, Bruce says that he thinks that Demi gave the best performance in 2024. Love that. I had a moment. So I have an injured shoulder. This is a like true life, the substance moment. So I hurt my shoulder a couple of months ago, and it was actually a pretty bad injury, and I still can't lift it. I still can't lift my arm all the way up over my head. It's not great. So that said though, as a result, the skin on my arm is like starting to look bad. And I had a substance moment with the finger where I was just like, because you're watching I'm not going to spoil anything, but you're watching the finger moment and you're like, okay, she could still do something about this. She could still get out, but then she chooses to go even further in the opposite direction and it doesn't end well. And I was like, okay, Clarke, you cannot have a substance moment right now. You cannot freak out. But yeah, I that movie has definitely gotten into my mind for in a lot of different ways. Top Dog says that they liked the substance, but the ending was just a bit too over the top for me. That has been kind of the consensus that I have heard from a lot of people. I feel like the movie does earn going so over the top, but just like based on like the how things escalate, but I don't necessarily disagree that like it's a big swing. So you got to be like it's not going to work for everyone. Let's see. Yura Borisov is Borisov from more Nora is my favorite nominee. Gishgali says he started out as a comedic henchman and grew into the moral compass of the film. That's one. Nora is one of the few that I have left that I need to see. Stephanie says, I love that they made The Substance and it sounds really interesting, but it's too much body horror for me to watch. That's fair, Stephanie. I will say that I've had a couple other people say this to me, and I know that like I'm a horror person, so maybe my list is like a little like or my what I can tolerate is maybe a little more crazy than the average person. But that said, I think that if you can get through some of the more medical, like body horror stuffs, that are probably like in the beginning portion of the transformation arc or whatever you want to call that. By the time you're really in it, it all gets so crazy that it doesn't to me it was like once you get over the hump, you're there, but I don't know. Tell me your thoughts if you disagree. Akers says, Clarke, if you ran a studio, what should I have Corley do next? Wow, anything she wants. I would like to see. Okay, so she directed a movie called Revenge that is a pretty gnarly drama with action and violence and uh it's a ride. It's a wild ride. And then of course The Substance is very like heightened poppy. So is Revenge in a lot of ways, but what does she do next? Oh, a Star Wars movie, of course. No, I'm just kidding. What does she do next? Honestly, I feel like she does whatever she wants to do next. Maybe she wants to do a franchise movie and maybe she doesn't. Who knows? Um no, another Mr. Lizard. I can't make a normal human movement with my arm. It does not go up over my head anymore. Very sad for me. Um let's see. Honora or Real Pain for best original screenplay says sincerely. Alvi says, what do you think made The Substance get the nomination as opposed to other horror movies that might have been deserving? That's a really good question. Um, I think it was momentum. So I will say, I think that The Substance coming out of the gate and having its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival and then winning best original screenplay or best screenplay at the Cannes Film Festival set the movie on this prestige track in a way that if it had just played Cannes, it probably wouldn't have had the same gravitas. And I also think that the Academy can be a bit reactionary. I think snubbing, Greta Gerwig for Best Director last year and kind of like really the Academy really turning up their nose at Barbie with a couple of a couple of exceptions. Maybe they're swinging back in a different way and they're like, okay, well, here's a lady movie. Like, I hate to sound so flip or so cynical, but that is how I feel about the Academy is sometimes it's like, all right, we got to give a lady a nomination because we didn't give Barbie a nominate or whatever. We blew off Greta, so now we got to give a lady something. Um, you know, it's part of the reason why if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I really don't put a ton of stock into the Oscars. I'm happy to talk about them because I know they're important for our industry and like they're a big part of movie fandom, and this is our Super Bowl kind of thing. But I think they're silly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to be nominated for one day. But yeah, but that's a really great question, Alvi. Like, what makes the substance? I also think too. Demi has been an actress in town and for 40 years, and Margaret Qualley is like a rising star, and Dennis Quaid is great in the movie. I know he's not nominated, but I think he's hilarious. I think he's so good in the movie. So maybe, yeah. And I also, the other thing I think is that in addition to starting off with like a prestige win at the Cannes Film Festival, let's say something like Hereditary. Hereditary is an unpleasant watch. I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong, but, like, that's asking a lot. It's so dark, it's so violent, it's so jarring and just upsetting, whereas The Substance, yes, it is got some body horror that, like, people are like, "Whoa, this is really hard to watch for," but I think there's also because it is done with a satirical vibe. I think that maybe that makes it more palatable. Also, like Hollywood sometimes likes to laugh at itself and sometimes it doesn't, And I do think that obviously, I think recognizing something like The Substance is a really good way for Hollywood to be like, oh, we're in on the joke. We get it. And it's like, do you? But momentum is everything in the Oscars, Alvi. You know what I mean? Um, Top Dog says, "Have you seen Honora?" Nora's next on my list. A society watch along. Oh my god, another Mr. Lizard. Alan Smithy says the grody parts of The Substance gross me out more because of the sound than the image. Yes, 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 Alan Smithy. Yes, lots of gurgling and bubbling slime noises, especially in that shrimp scene. Oh my god. If you can make it through Dennis Quaid, yeah, Gishgali agrees. If you can make it through his shrimp throwdown, the end is a breeze. Yeah, for sure. And Gishgali says that he thinks The Substance being about the entertainment industry helps a lot. Yeah, of course. Um, Let's see. Stephanie says, I think you're probably right about how they think, Clark. Top Dog says that's exactly why most people are over the Oscars. Chris says, hey, it's not cynical. I feel the same way. Yep. And then ZSH says, but to be honest, your voice speaks for and reflects the opinions of so many women and girls I know. Well, okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Um, and then King says, I actually didn't get why Hereditary was so popular. Seemed like bland to me. Seemed bland to you. Hilarious. Love that. We need to see some movies together then, King. Because if you thought Hereditary was bland, I love that. I love that. Chris says convincing Miranda to watch The Substance. Oh my god, hilarious, Chris. She can do it. She'll like it. Um She'll like it. Okay. What else we got here? Any other big ones? Any other big surprises? Sebastian Stan, they bring up The Apprentice. We talked about that. Listen, like I said, he's amazing. Now, here's something that's interesting. So, I will say Denis Villeneuve misses in Best Director. I think honestly, and tell me what you think, but I think his snub here with Dune 2 or part 2, excuse me, is that the Academy doesn't like to recognize big blockbuster movies. Unfortunately. Like, and again, best director is a really crowded category, but like they love Denis Villeneuve and they're going to nominate part 2 for best picture. And like I saw Josh Brolin kind of reacted to the news today and was like, "This is crazy," kind of thing. Like part two is better than part one. Like but again, maybe the fact that we're announcing a trilogy, maybe the fact that we're announcing that there's more, means that the Academy is going, all right, well, we'll get you next time. Kind of like Wicked. I think that Wicked having part two, or well, I'm going to call it part two. Wicked having part two just around the corner, I think probably hurt it in terms of the categories that were not a lock, like best director. And you know what? Again, I'm gonna be a bit of a nerd. I'm gonna be a nerd here, and I'm gonna defend Wicked Part One a little bit. And I'm gonna say that having read the book and having just seen the stage musical again, and having my mind reminded of what the stage is in the stage musical and what is not in the stage musical, and then having seen Wicked a couple of times, I think that Wicked, it would have been totally appropriate for Wicked to have best adapted screenplay nomination. I think that but again, there is more room to separate from part 1, or excuse me, from the stage material in For Good part 2. So this is to say, you know, maybe the Wicked team will have more luck on the next time around. Um, let's see. Da 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 da. Top Dog says part two, meaning Dune part two, is one of the best movies I've seen in quite a while. I have not seen Mr. Brooks King. I have not. Ronan says it's just weird that 20 years ago Lord of the Rings got love, but so many great blockbuster movies now don't. It's so bizarre. Yep. And Ronan, I think too, you know what Return of the King had going for it was like, okay, this is the last one. You know, we're gonna give it all. Like, yeah, I don't even want to go down that road. I'm not a pro at Lord of the Rings, but I did just watch all of them in the theater for the first time last year. And knowing how the Oscars kind of, with that in mind in hindsight, I was like, what the heck were they thinking? Ian McKellen, I know he was nominated for Fellowship, but I'm sorry. Ian McKellen should have been in every conversation. I thought that I just think his performance as Gandalf is unbelievable because frankly, the way he is making sense of I just the stakes feel so real, and he is tasked with doing a lot of exposition, and he is speaking it from the heart. Like I didn't get into an argument, but I kind of had a back and forth with somebody who was like, "Yeah, well, he's a Shakespearean actor. It's like doing Shakespeare." And I was like, I'm not saying his delivery was what I'm not saying the way that he projected was what impressed me. I'm saying the way that like you watch him talk and give these exposition dumps and he is emotionally connected to that material. So to me that was one of the biggest travesties was that he was only nominated once and it was for Fellowship. But c'est la vie. Chris says, I also think with Dune, there's some recency bias. Like maybe if it didn't come out in March and instead got to move to October. Yeah, that's true. Gishgali said, I love the quote from Eggers today about directing contemporary film. The idea of having to photograph a car makes me ill. And the idea of photographing a cell phone is just death. So, no, that's hilarious. Mirror Domain says Mr. Brooks is a great film. You know what I remember about Mr. Brooks, Mirror Domains, is that isn't Dane Cook in it giving a serious performance? That's always what I remember of that. Bruce says, I agree. I loved Ian McKellen's thoughts. Or sorry, Ian McKellen's Gandalf. Let's see. Aces is ranking their Demi Moore. No, A Few Good Men in there? None in your top 10? That's crazy. She's so good in it. All right. And Ronan says, even it being the last one, I for sure thought something like Endgame should have gotten similar appreciation. You know what, Ronan? I went on a little bit of a what was that? What is that thing called? TikTok. A little bit of a TikTok rant about, because I really appreciated Robert Downey Jr. when he was on Rob Lowe's podcast, and Rob Lowe's kind of like, how much money is it going to make? How much money is it going to take to get you back into the MCU as Iron Man? And he's like, listen, man, like, and of course he's back as Doctor Doom, which honestly I love. But basically what he was saying is like, I'm not ashamed. Downey said, I've done some of my best work in my entire career playing Tony Stark. I'm insanely proud of those movies, and not just because of this paycheck. Like, I am proud of the work I did. And to your point, Ronan, I feel like Downey should have absolutely gotten an Oscar nomination for Avengers Endgame. I think he's exceptional in that role throughout the entire franchise. However, Endgame was like, yeah, if you're not gonna give the MCU any best, or if you're not gonna give the Avengers and this iteration of the MCU this kind of big love, like culmination kind of recognition, then Robert Downey Jr. should have gotten that recognition. But I will say just a little asterisk, and like, industry folks in the chat, please let me know what you think if you disagree. But personally, I also think that Marvel is not campaigning. Like, we were talking on Christian's show yesterday about Netflix. They're raising their prices, and then the stock is, and I read this article today that I almost pulled, but I didn't because I just was like, I don't have anything constructive to say. But it was like, the quote was, this is what winning looks like. And it was about how Netflix is raising its prices. Its stock is the highest it's ever been. all this stuff, and like they've just got this like unshakable hold on the industry. Well, Netflix also, I mean, I would argue they are campaigning for Amelia Perez. They are pushing and they want the Oscar nominations. I don't think that Disney and Marvel were campaigning and pushing for much of an Avengers Oscar push, but you guys let me know if you disagree. Um, let's see. Vincent says also blockbusters have been nominated. Top Gun, Avatar movies, Oppenheimer, Barbie have been recognized. I understood disagreeing. Just wish people wouldn't resort to attacking. Um, Cook is in it. Dane Cook is in it. I thought so. Uh, let's see. Let's see. Okay, Akers is not a fan and does not feel like um Demi Moore is important enough in A Few Good Men. That's a fair assessment. Um, let's see. Yeah, another Mr. Lizard says, "Isn't that a bit like participation trophies with the campaigning?" I mean, like for instance, I think like I remember the thing that really put this sort of practice and process on my radar was Essie Davis, who is the star of The Babadook. And basically, IFC Midnight at that time, they decided that they were not going to push an Oscar campaign. They were going to do their release strategy around box office and getting it, spreading word of mouth and getting more eyeballs on the film. And so I think that sometimes studios and companies have to choose. And I think that it just seemed to me like it wasn't a priority for Marvel. But what do I know? Let's see. ZSH says Downey is legit. That clip of him roasting Wall Street stockbrokers. Yes, it is great. It is great. Okay, so that's our little Oscar corner. We did a lot of time on there. And I feel good about oh yes, wait a minute. Speaking of best director, Edward Berger shut out for directing Conclave. You know what? I have to say, Conclave could have been so boring. The performances, of course, are fabulous. And I had a lot of fun with I thought Conclave was really fun. I loved how bitchy they all were and all the sniping and backstabbing, and it was fun. And everybody, I think, did it with they knew, they were not making jokes, but I think that there was a fun energy about Conclave for the most part. That said, I was blown away by how intricate and colorful and orchestrated the direction was. I think when you hear about a premise like Conclave, you think that the camera is just going to sit and it's just going to be static shots. Maybe you're going to get really long oneers, which we did get a couple. I did notice, like, because I think, gosh, I can't remember if we talked about this on the show, but I know this is conversations I've had privately where one of my biggest frustrations with Nosferatu was when the camera was just locked off and you had two people staring at each other, having a conversation like this, and you can't see their eyes. It's very hard to connect. And so one thing I noticed though was in Conclave, there is a conversation between John Lithgow and Ray Fiennes where it's a similar setup, right? But the difference was that the camera pushes in slowly as they have this exchange, and then the movement within the frame happens where, once we're at a certain place, Lithgow's blocking, requires him to exit and like walk back, walk out, all this stuff. So I'm just saying that I thought that the direction for Conclave was gorgeous. I thought it was really intricate and interesting. And yeah, I think this was a snub for sure. Edward Berger did an amazing job. And I see you, Mike, and drummer Mike in the chat. I'm so glad you're lurking. I'm so glad you're enjoying the Oscars chatter too. CSH says started watching Conclave today after reading about it in the Discord. Yeah, let us know what you think, CSH. No spoilies, but let us know what you think. And yes, just if you guys don't know, Patreon.com/Clarke Wolfe at the $5 a month you get and higher, you get access to our Discord server, which has been really fun. Actually, we just activated it and all hopped on there this week, and so we've been talking about movies and TV we're watching and sharing articles that you want shared and all that stuff. I'm still here. Enters the Best Picture race. Yeah, I don't. Oh, I'm still here. Sorry, I'm getting it confused with something else. Pamela Anderson and Jamie Lee Curtis, they did not get nominated for The Last Showgirl. Honestly, if I'm being, I started The Last Showgirl. I got like 45 minutes in. I I understand why we like a comeback story for Pamela Anderson. I know a lot of people like her. I know in society and pop culture, she was treated really unfairly in a lot of ways in the 1990s. And I'm glad that Gia Coppola gave her this opportunity to really show what she can do as an actress. And I think she is a very good actress. And I think it is a very good performance. However, I do not think it is I don't think it is much of a snub, but I think it's a surprise for sure. Because, she had gotten a lot of love, and we love Jamie, of course. Yeah, this is another big one. Luca Guadagnino, man. Queer and challengers just not happening. Not happening. I really do want to I haven't seen either. Really do. I like Daniel Craig so much though. So I really do want to see that. Oh, Better Man. Good. So I haven't seen Better Man yet either, but I love this premise. Everyone I know who's seen it loves it. Um, Robbie Williams, British pop star, and his life story told by a monkey. I just love this. I love the concept, and so this is cool. Actually, it got a Best Visual Effects nomination. So that's very cool because it sounds like it was really, really amazing what they did with the tech, uh, or chimpanzee, I should say, not a monkey. Um, and Sing Sing. This one looked like it was a come from behind kind of moment. Oops, sorry. But yeah, Clarence Macklin was not nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And then yeah, challengers Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Uh, nope, did not get a best. It just really Lucas shut out. Shut out. Yes, okay, I brought this up. Best adapted screenplay. No, da da da. Yeah, Dune. Some weird snubs for Dune too. Strange. Okay. Yeah. I think that's good. How do you feel about Oscar chat? Did a lot of time. Did a lot of time on it. Do we feel good about it? That we have handled we've covered all the I couldn't believe that Matthew says I couldn't believe that Sonic 3 wasn't nominated for Oscars. Well, visual effects. Also, I like Sonic. Okay, Chris says, have you heard any buzz about Presents? I've heard some really, really positive feedback. And then I heard from another friend and they just kind of liked it. I have tickets to it on Friday, so I will report back, Chris. I'm very curious to see Steven Soderbergh's horror movie Ghost Story. Let's see. What else do we have? Just to wrap this up, Oscar chat. Take care, King. Great to see you. I gotta go watch. I'll hit the notification bell. You are so back. Love it. Thanks, King. Great to see you. Let's see. Mirror says, can someone explain the Luca appeal? Because I don't get it. Challengers was good, but not great. Bones and all was okay, but I didn't watch those movies because of him. Listen, not for everyone. Hi, Kai. Love that you're chiming in. Oh, I forgot that I can put your comments up. I thought the direction in Conclave was beautifully done, and I wonder if the fact that so many people noticed the direction was the problem. Ah, Kai, that's a really interesting point. I like that a lot. That's really, really fun. Yes, CSH. And of course, I know who Robbie Williams is. I saw in the chat somebody mentioned his single Millennium. He also sang, didn't he do Rock DJ? and of course Angels. I know who Robbie Williams is. I was also a kid of the 90s and 2000s though. So he had a couple of singles that did cross over here in the States. And also he did like an old school Bobby Darin style album, and I have that and I love it. I used to listen to it. I'm just back to front over and over again. So I like Robbie Williams. Let's see. Denny makes it all look easy. Yeah, I think that is the problem here. And what else? Okay, cool. That's plenty of Oscar chat. Until the post-mortem on Amelia Perez's Oscar clean sweep. Wow, that would be wild if that happened. That would be totally wild. Yeah, I have here too, by the way, this article, Josh Brolin kind of advocating for Denny, excuse me. All right, let's go to something else. We spent a lot of time on the old Oscars, and we have a lot of weird movies to talk about. All right, you know it, you love it. We got to talk about Toxic Avenger. We got to do it. Look at this. Where is my article? You know I have all these tabs pulled up, but I did not put them in order. Here we go. Share this tab. Toxic Avenger. We do love the weird, Stephanie. So let's talk about it. I saw Toxic Avenger at its world premiere at Fantastic Fest in 2023. Macon Blair was there. Big fan of Macon Blair. Love his work. Love Peter Dinklage. Think it's a really interesting way in. I think we talked about this a little bit on one of our past streams, but I'll just give a quick recap. This movie was shot, so this is a legendary movie. This movie was shot during COVID, and it really felt like it was, to me, my biggest takeaway was, this is a movie of another time. This is like pre-COVID, when everything feels like it changed and it shifted, and streaming solidified, and like day and date and big movies going straight to digital, and like exclusive premieres on Peacock and Hulu and all of that. So Toxic Avenger, Macon Blair's Toxic Avenger, for me, half of it, I just thought was laugh out loud, absolutely hilarious, just really funny. Some of the dialogue is just absolutely wild. Some of the villains are like a rap rock band, like kind of like Limp Bizkit style. I mean, it just was like, it's so wild and so weird. But I will also say that the other half of it, the other 50%, for me, just straight up does not work. And it's a big swing. It's an authentic swing. But the other thing that I'll say is that with Toxie and Peter Dinklage is such a wonderful actor. And I don't know who made the decision to have the Toxic Avenger look the way it does, because I suppose we haven't actually seen what Toxie looks like, so I don't want to risk any kind of spoilies. Like, let's let them sort of release the imagery and the visuals how they choose. But I will say that, in my opinion, Peter Dinklage's performance is completely sacrificed at the hands of this makeup design. And it is just like I think most of his lines are ADR. I mean, it's like, it's that kind of thing where you're like, but this doesn't have to be this way, you know? And so the other thing I'll preview is, I feel like the look of the Toxic Avenger is very similar in Macon Blair's movie, is very similar, maybe too similar, to a detriment to the way the original actor and makeup looks. And so it's sort of like, felt to me like fitting a square peg into a round hole. You have Peter Dinklage. We love Peter Dinklage. We want to see him as Toxic Avenger, not something else. So that's what I'll preview. I think the makeup is very close, is what I'll say. And but let's talk a little bit about who is releasing this and why, because I think this is the key here. So Cineverse, who is the same team who released Terrifier 3 to $100 million, which makes me, I feel like that's crazy. But Terrifier 3 made $100 million. What? And it is unrated. So and it has a loyal fan base. And so I totally see from a business perspective what the team is doing here. They are feeling like this is very, 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 very like just violent, and I know what they mean when they say unrated. Like the version I saw, I think the version well, the version I saw, I think, is the version. Well, let's read the article actually. Hold on. Let's look. Okay, we're excited to announce today that Cineverse has saved director Macon Blair's The Toxic Avenger remake and plans an unrated, wide theatrical release later this year. Bloody Disgusting's parent company, Cineverse, acquired all United States and Canadian theatrical, home entertainment, and streaming rights through a deal with Legendary. The news was first reported by Variety this afternoon. Oh yeah, Kevin Bacon's in it. I forgot. He's so good. He's the villain. He's wild. He's absolutely crazy. All right, here's the quote, or here's the uh in this bold new chapter of the classic midnight movie franchise created by Lloyd Kaufman and Troma Entertainment, a shocking accident transforms a downtrodden janitor, Winston Goose Dinklage, into a mutant vigilante. Armed with his signature mop, the unlikely hero battles freaks, gangsters, corrupt CEOs while trying to save his relationship with his son. The story channels the subversive gonzo energy of the original Toxic Avenger while delivering a fresh contemporary twist. Oh, that's right. Jacob Tremblay is his son. Yes. Okay. I am remembering now. I am remembering. Okay. I will preview this for you as well. I don't think this role suited Jacob Tremblay. And so, if you're going to have Toxie and his son be the most important relationship in the movie, that is sort of the impetus for why he's doing all that he does. That really needs to be strong, and I didn't feel like that really worked. That was one of the things for me that did not work. Opening to critical acclaim at Fantastic Fest, I will also say. Clearly, Legendary knows their audience. Fantastic Fest was a very good audience to see this movie with, that's for sure. Toxic Avenger has been hailed as a riotous blend of social satire, inventive gore, and unexpected heart. With a 92% score on Rotten Tomatoes, the film reaffirms the enduring power of subversive cinema to capture and challenge audiences. And then let's hear why Cineverse, let's hear what they say. The team that brought you unrated Terrifier 3. Toxic Avenger isn't just a great film, it's an important one, said Cineverse chairman and CEO Chris McGurk. Peter Dinklage's transformative performance and Macon Blair's fearless direction deliver a story that speaks to the anxieties of our time with outrageous humor and unflinching creativity. This is the kind of movie that major studios are averse to release because it dares to push boundaries. I totally agree with that, by the way. I totally see how Legendary was like, what do we do with this? Because again, made in a different time, greenlit, a lot of money invested in a different time, in my opinion. But Cineverse is rooted in championing bold, uncompromising storytelling. We believe audiences are ready and eager for films like this to take center stage. You know, actually, I gotta say, first of all, like I said, I saw whatever Legendary's cut was, so it is entirely possible. And Macon did seem like he was very supportive of the film. He was there. Lloyd Kaufman was there. You know, I heard them both speak. So by no means, I think, were they saying like, oh yeah, we denounce this cut or whatever. But I will say that now that I think about it, perhaps releasing this movie in its unrated version, it is very un-PC. It is a vigilante. The healthcare system is absolutely at the root of Kevin Bacon's character, is a healthcare CEO. Um, we have a new president in the United States. Actually, now that I think about it, I think that this is a maybe the timing is more perfect than ever. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Alan says, "Did you know there was a remake of Street Trash? This sounds similar. This is, I will say, the version that I saw was still really really racy, like still very like politically incorrect, the whole deal, like so very very. It was edgy for sure, but it also did kind of like yeah, it seems like it wasn't gonna be extreme enough for the, Trauma fans, but it also felt like it was gonna be way too much for the Legendary, brand. So that was another thing I remember seeing it like, "Wow, how does this get out there in this day?" But again, as I just kind of worked out in my mind, um, this does seem like a great environment for this movie to come out. And clearly the company really recognizes that they were able to do something really incredible financially with Terrifier. The difference, I would say, is that I'm sure whatever deal they made, they had to spend more money than Damien spent for Terrifier. And I'm also under the impression that Damien was very resourceful in terms of like P&E, meaning like we're not going to spend 2 times the film's budget on P&E, on promotion, when that's just going to be to our, when we know our audience is going to show up, they're going to love that it's, they know art, they know when it's coming, they love that it's unrated, so like let the audience find it. And he was right, and they did. So that is a story I heard kind of off the record, but or not off the record, but just like between in conversation. I don't know, Chris, do you remember, wasn't the unrated version the one that premiered at Fantastic Fest? I actually don't know, Chris. I don't know the version that we saw. Stephanie, Kevin Bacon is incredible in this movie. He's really funny. He's really funny, really weird. From a business perspective, I totally agree, Gishgali. No matter how good the film is, this is a great move for Cineverse to solidify their identity. Agree. Elijah Wood is in the movie ZSH. Yes. He is not a producer. Spectre Vision is not a producer, but he is in the movie, and he is a big fan, I think, of Trauma. Alan Smithy says the original Toxie has some racial slurs. Yes, I will say I watched the original Toxic Avenger from start to finish after I saw. I've seen clips from over the years, but after I saw the Fantastic Fest version, I watched the original, and I was like, "Oh my!" But it is Trauma. Hi, Amra. Is there boobs? Of course. I think there is. There's definitely nudity. I think there's a little bit of everything, to be honest with you, Macon. But that's the thing. I thought he did a really great job. And again, the comedy that works is like, to me, laugh out loud funny. Like some of the stuff that some of the dialogue is just like, it is wild and hilarious. So there's a lot of good there. And I think it sounds like it's found the exact right home. So there we have it, Toxic Avenger. Now there is no release date, but it is coming this year. So that's really fun. Love it. All right. We had, wait, I feel like Yellow Jackets. Oh my gosh. A lot of trailers, some fun trailers. Okay, let's do a quick Robert Eggers corner, because I feel like this news, of course, came out like right as we were finishing, or right after it actually came out, I think, either while we were doing our stream or while I was doing Christian's stream. But we've talked about how Nosferatu was a financial success for Focus Features, made over $100 million in theatrically, which is crazy for that movie, I would say. So it was announced this week that Werewolf, Robert Eggers, which again, I just have to say for a second, I gotta say for a second, I'm sure this is a historically accurate spelling of whatever creature he is talking about, a version of lycanthropy, a werewolf of some kind. But if this turns into people spelling this like with the witch with the two V's and then saying it the vivitch, I'm like, stop. Can we just let's please? We're not doing this. We're not doing this. But that said, uh directing 13th century werewolf movie for Christmas 2026. Tell me more. If it's Christmas, it must be Robert Eggers. All right, so THR reports that Werewolf, a 13th century werewolf horror movie that Eggers co-wrote and will be directing. Focus has already dated Werewolf for theatrical release at Christmas 2026. That is not that far away. So especially like gosh, this is going to be really fun. The Hollywood Reporter details Eggers wrote Werewolf with Sejong, I'm going to say, who co-wrote the Viking saga The Northmen, which, as you all know, I love. While details are scarce, sources say that the story is set in the 13th century England. The script also features dialogue that was true to the time. And has translations and annotations for those uninitiated in Old English. Initially, Eggers was planning on shooting the feature in black and white, but that is no longer the case. Suffice it to say that considering the setting and the dialect, Eggers is promising another deep dive into a muddy, costumed, and violent time period consistent with his oeuvre, which has earned him a loyal following. And fun fact, Chris Columbus, who co-produced Nosferatu, is on board to produce Werewolf. So I love that. Chris is like, having this wonderful kind of like moment with these crazy horror movies, period horror movies. So very cool. And then, of course, in other Robert Eggers news, Labyrinth. Now, I'll tell you, I thought this was a joke. Or meaning, you know what I thought it was? Not a joke. I should clarify. I thought that this was an unsubstantiated rumor, much like the story of Austin Butler being cast as Patrick Bateman in Luca Guadagnino's American Psycho. I never bought that necessarily. It was never confirmed. And then, of course, Bret Easton Ellis was kind of like, yeah, I don't even think there's a deal done right now. So that said, though, this turned out to be true. The story, here we go. Nosferatu director Robert Eggers signs on for Labyrinth sequel. So that's something I do like, is that in these reports, they are clarifying that this is a sequel. It is not a reboot or a remake of Jim Henson's Labyrinth. Let's see. Eggers is writing the project with his writing partner, same person who did Nosferatu and The Northman. The Northman, and did Werewolf, while Chris Columbus and Eleanor, once again, are producing alongside Lisa Henson, and then Brian is executive producing. And now this is a bit of an update too. The sequel originally had Scott Derrickson set to direct. When asked about the status of the project in 2023, Derrickson admitted that it was a, quote, tough nut to crack, and apparently exited after that. The script had been set to be written by Maggie Levin and was being described as a sequel at that time. Let's see. So, here's the thing that I just want to say about this. If this is actually, well, look, the trades are reporting it. So it sounds like it is true. But I will say, I don't understand why this appeals to Robert Eggers, based on what I have seen from him and based on Werewolf. I don't understand this. I'll be honest. It's a strange pairing. And I hope that his heart is in it, is what I will say. Mira Domain says, Sir Didymus better be in it. I concur, like, totally. So Yes, and then Alan Smithy says the long gestating rumor, Lady Gaga should play the Goblin King. So this has been something that people have been saying for a long time. Stephanie agrees. It seems like an odd choice indeed. Yeah, another Mr. Lizard says, so someone steals Jennifer Connelly's grandchildren. Yeah, exactly. And then Stephanie agrees, I prefer a sequel instead of a reboot. Stephanie also says, I'm a massive fan of the OG Labyrinth, so I'm not sure about this. Bowie was such a huge part of it, so I'm not sure if it could work, but I'm willing to give it a chance. Stephanie, this is how I feel. Labyrinth is my favorite movie. I'm sure you guys have heard me say it like oscillates between The Wizard of Oz and Labyrinth, but honestly, they're the same movie. But Labyrinth is arguably my favorite movie. It's a toss up between that and The Wizard of Oz. It doesn't mean that I am adverse to exploring the universe and the world that much more. You know, if Jareth was the Goblin King, that means that there could be other people who work for him, other disciples. Also, is he the king of the world? Is he, you know, are there other corners? Like there can be, I think there are plenty of other ways. The goblins can steal children. The goblins can do a lot of different things. There are plenty other ways in this. One thing I do like about the idea of Robert Eggers doing this is I'm going to imagine that there's going to be a lot of legitimate puppetry. There's going to be a lot of practical effects and in-camera effects versus versus maybe too much CG. You know, I do think that that is something that has prevented Labyrinth from getting off the ground. I don't think there's any way to do a Labyrinth movie inexpensively. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna do puppetry, then you're going to have to invest in this. And so I like that. I'm sure he's gonna advocate for practical, which is great. Um, yeah, and then this is fair. Another Mr. Lizard. Maybe Eggers wants a little bit of a palate cleanser after Nosferatu and Werewolf. I mean, this article does go on to say at the very end that he told IndieWire recently that he was interested in doing a Western and a medieval project. So, to be fair, I suppose period genre is not necessarily like all he is beholden to. And frankly, I think the idea of seeing him do a Western is really interesting. I would love to see like a period accurate, grimy, gritty Western from Robert Eggers. So, you know, I think we've seen he branched out a little bit with, like, I will say that that's what I would, of all four of his films, they do all feel distinctly his, no matter if they are working in different subgenres. So I'm totally open to it. Yeah. And another Mr. Lizard says if he mixes Western and Medieval Night together, then I'm interested. Yeah, that's fair. I where was someone just said, oh yeah, ZSH says, as one of the biggest Bowie fans left living on this planet today, I am very curious about this. And Stephanie says, also a big Wizard of Oz fan all the way back to the books, just read more than the first one. Yeah, I recently, Stephanie, read for the first time the original Wizard of Oz cover to cover, but then I read the second book and I think I finished the third book. They're kind of all run together. But I read them because I had watched Return to Oz. I had watched Oz the Great and Powerful, and so I was just very curious, like where everything kind of came from. And it was a really insightful experience because I feel like when you read The Wizard of Oz, in my opinion, I feel like the Judy Garland movie, the MGM film, it's a wonderful adaptation because it really does just streamline everything. You know, you take out side characters that you don't really need and you just focus on this one story. And so I think it gave me a greater appreciation for the MGM movie once I read the book all these years later, because I was like, yeah, they really made this make sense, and they made it kind of palatable for beyond just children, you know? Gish Golly says, I love the soundtrack so much. Wore out my first cassette copy of Labyrinth. Used to sing Remind Me of the Babe rhyme and over again. Same. I love this movie. And I love the music, so I think it's cool. Yes, so Alan Smithy says Terry Jones of Monty Python wrote the screenplay. It's a hilarious movie. Yes, and also um uh uh Trevor Jones. I love David Bowie's music in the movie, obviously, but Trevor Jones' score, one of my favorite scores. Like, I actually wish it was longer, so because I would write to it. You know what I mean? Like, I really really love it. So yeah, love that. Now, Gishgali, I saw you in the chat, and you know that I'm absolutely ready to pour one out for the gemstones. Although this was not really news to me, I was under the impression. So I am a big Righteous Gemstone fan, and I was kind of shocked at how little publicity season 3 got. I felt like, how did I not know that? Especially because I think Curb was on at that time. And so I was watching every Sunday, and there was just like nothing about gemstones. It felt like they just sort of dumped it. So when you watch Righteous Gemstones season 3, it feels very much like they felt like that was going to be it for them. And so I felt like actually season 3 was a huge improvement on season 2. Season 1 to me is by far my favorite, but um, yeah, I felt like 3 wrapped up so beautifully, and so then when I found out they were like, okay, we're gonna renew it for season 4, I thought that they had announced then that that would be the fourth and final, but apparently we're confirming. Either way, we're confirming now Righteous Gemstones to end with season 4 at HBO. Final episodes to premiere in March. That's right around the corner. Fortunately for me, I'll tell you a little behind the scenes, because as you know, I audition in the Southeast a lot, and I only got to audition for the Righteous Gemstones twice. And one was to play a reporter, and one was to play like a random late, like it was like one line. It was silly. And I was really bummed, because if I could be on any TV show shooting in the South, it was going to be Righteous. I wanted Righteous Gemstones, but nonetheless, fourth and final season. The comedy series was renewed for season 4 back in July. An exact premiere date has yet to be set, but the final episodes will begin airing in March. I love Danny McBride so much. Here's what he has to say. The Lord spoke to me and said, it's time to wrap this sucker up, series creator and star Danny McBride said. The story this season made the themes, ideas, and characters in The Righteous Gemstones feel whole and complete. I've loved every second of working with this team for the past 8 years, and there are some incredible payoffs, twists, and turns in store over the course of this wild final season. So yeah, I think the plot, let's see, of season 4 is under wraps. It's a family drama, melodrama with a lot of very dark comedy. Let's see, what does chat have to say? Please, I know, I wish, I know. It's totally the opposite of what you wanted. I know. Wah wah. Yes, it would have been cool. Wonder if Jesus would have liked Righteous Gemstones. Probably. Yeah, I love this show. Season 1's still my favorite, like I said. Really, really great stuff. Walton Goggins, I just hope he's back. Like, I hope he's really back. Like, I feel like in season 2, he was making the unicorn and he was less available. And so he kind of only like popped up every now and again. I'm really, really hopeful that he is a big part of season 4. That would be wonderful. Be running through my house with a pickle in my mouth. Yep. Great. Love it. So yeah, coming in March. And speaking of, in HBO and season 4 news, The White Lotus renewed for season 4 at HBO. I will tell you, I was a hesitant White Lotus fan. But once I got into season 1, oh my God, I just blew through it. Loved it. And then season 2, I caught up to watch the finale live. That was really fun. Very different. I prefer season 1 for sure. However, I really did come to appreciate season 2 for sure. I like both of them. They're different. I think they're just doing different things. So as we know, season 3 is expected to debut at some point this year. And it is set in Thailand. And now the White Lotus has officially been greenlit for season 4 by HBO, with production eyed for 2026. It's unclear where the fourth season will take place or whether any cast members will return. But creator showrunner Mike White has already pitched ideas to the HBO and Max chief, revealed in November. The early renewal comes a few weeks before the February 16th premiere of season 3, which takes the Emmy-winning ensemble dramedy to Thailand. Natasha Rothwell, who played the spa manager Belinda in the Hawaii set season 1, we love Belinda, is the only returning cast member this time around. After Jennifer Coolidge reprised her role as Tanya in the second season. Both seasons have followed groups of troubled vacationers who unleash their worst, most privileged impulses at the idyllic White Lotus Resort as their exploits intersect with the hotel staff members. Both seasons also featured a mysterious death. What a cast for season 3. Parker Posey, Walton Goggins, Jason Isaacs, Michelle Monaghan, Leslie Bibb, Dom, Hetrickle, just like the list goes on and on and on and on and on. It's wild. I'm actually very curious to see Patrick Schwarzenegger in this. He kind of surprised me in another HBO series called The Staircase. He cracked me up. He was really funny, actually. So yeah, just an incredible cast. And the first 2 seasons have won 15 Emmys, which is incredible. Yeah, I'm like super stoked. Are you guys White Lotus fans? Tell me, what are your thoughts? Let's see. Oh my God, a crossover, a Righteous Gemstones, a White Lotus crossover. Sign me right up. Yep, and Top Dog says Mike White, aka Ned Schneebly from School of Rock. He also wrote School of Rock. Fun fact, Top Dog. Yeah, love it. I'm really excited for this. I can't wait for the new season of White Lotus. I really am curious what they're gonna get into. And yeah, it's really fun. And I gotta say, like, I really like that they are building out this extended universe. I don't think it's like come to fruition, but for a minute there was this moment where fans were speculating that Connie Britton would show up because she, does a lot of her work in Asia, and like that's a big plot point or a big point of discussion in season 1. So yeah, I kind of like, and I like that Bettina, or that she's coming back. The gal who works in the spa is coming back. Jennifer Coolidge came back in season 2. Like, I like that they're kind of doing all of this. It's cool. It's a fun way to build a world. And yeah, I like it a lot. Okay, cool. Now we're going to indulge me and we're going to do this one. Even though allegedly there is no story, but we're going to find out. We're going to find out. All right. Have any of you all in the chat ever read Devil in the White City? I'm very curious. For those who don't know, Devil in the White City is about an alleged nonfiction book that reads like a novel about the World's Fair and H.H. Holmes, the infamous American serial killer, kind of colliding in Chicago at the same time. Alfie says they're reading it now. He's reading it now. Okay, great. And Gishgali says, yes, he's read it. So the story here is that this has been snatched up by Appian Way and Leonardo DiCaprio and Martin Scorsese forever. And this is one of the books where nerds like me are sitting here going, why has this never been made into a movie or a series? What are we doing? Look, some people hate this book. I love it. I found it endlessly entertaining. It is so well written. And even though it's probably not true, I just listened to, oh, who's the guy? Wait a minute. Who's the true crime author? Who's the true crime author who has said that like he doesn't think this is true? Hold on. LPOTL. Wait, Geen. Schechter. Harold Schechter. I didn't even need to look it up. So, yes, to answer your question, who said it? Alvi. So, last podcast has done many years ago. They did a part series on H.H. Holmes. However, Harold Schechter, who is a infamous and famous true crime author, who, if you are a last podcast listener, you know Marcus Parks loves, was on the show actually and did a quick interview. And he was talking about how actually a lot of this information that he had peddled himself about H.H. Holmes has been debunked. And perhaps like the murder house was not as much of a thing as maybe historically we thought. So let's see. Mirror Domain says, as long as it's not 3.5 hours and costing over $200 million. I mean, if they can make it into a series, I just would love that. Drummer says, oh my God, I feel like I heard about this potentially happening on last podcast on the left years ago. Well, here's the thing, y'all. And hello. Great to see you. Here I am doing my own show. Here's the thing about this, y'all. This book has been in the works or trying to be adapted for a million years. Let's see if the article actually says how long DiCaprio and Scorsese have had it. DiCaprio's Appian Way has had it. So, as Gishgali said in the chat earlier, sources add that there is currently no script, which is based on Larson's nonfiction classic, The Devil in the White City, Murder, Magic, and Madness that changed at the fair that changed America, first published in 2004. So DiCaprio and Scorsese have been developing the project for some time, and sources say they always felt this was the story that resonated through the years and still does. Duh. I mean, what? DiCaprio first landed to the rights to the book in 2010. Y'all, Appian Way has had the rights to this book for 15 years, and they have not done anything. Like, I shouldn't say they haven't done anything, but there have been so many stops and starts, and you're like, this book is I mean, my mom, who is not a true crime person, has read Devil in the White City. Like, everyone has read, we know this book, I can't believe that this has not been done yet. And so that's where, for those who are not here maybe a little earlier, I was saying how I read this theory online that basically like all of these announcements, like for instance, I think the most recent announcement was that Keanu Reeves was going to play the detective or the police officer. Or actually, I don't think they ever said who he was going to play, but he was way too old to play H.H. Holmes. H.H. Holmes in the story is in his 20s. So, but that said, they were saying that it was going to be set up at Hulu and it was going to be a series. But then I read this theory online that was like, spoiler alert, they're never going to make this movie. They just keep attaching people or, so that they don't lose their option. And I was like, damn, I think that is like actually exactly what's going on. So I don't know what this story, I don't know if we can, it's like fool me once, shame on you. ZSH says, I've been hearing so much about it for so many years. At this point, I think it'll be anticlimactic for me, to be honest. Here's the thing though. Like there was a show, to me, the closest that thing we got to what I would imagine Devil in the White City would be was the show The Alienist. Did y'all watch The Alienist on TNT with Nicholas Braun. Wait, I see his face. Daniel Bruhl and Dakota Fanning and Luke Evans. So The Alienist, I just thought season 1 was so incredibly good. And this to me is like the cousin to the series for Devil in the White City that I would imagine. That said, it sounds like they are feeling, or DiCaprio and Scorsese are approaching this as a feature. I don't know how you do this as a feature. Um, what do you guys think? Yeah, timing is right, perhaps. Maybe. I hope so. Stephanie says, I might have to read that book. Yes, I watched The Alienist, which is also based on a book. Correct. Steven says, saw it. It was really well done. Agreed. So yeah, let's see if there's any more details in here. DiCaprio and Scorsese have been developing this project for some time, and sources say they always felt like this was a story that has resonated through the years and still does. DiCaprio first landed the rights to the book in 2010, and though the project has gone through various stages of development over the years, including a TV series adaptation at Hulu that never came to fruition, that's the Keanu Reeves one that I was mentioning from a couple of years ago. Insiders say that following a meeting with 20th Century execs, all parties were on board to tell the story at a theatrical level. I mean, I will say, if Marty did get involved and he did this like Gangs of New York style, that's a movie I want to see. Let's see if it says the story follows H. Holmes, a cunning serial killer believed to have murdered anywhere from 27 to 200 people at a time when the city of Chicago was enthralled with hosting the World's Columbian Exposition in 1893. The book plays off the contrast between the hopeful expectations and wonders presented of the exposition and the dark deeds of Holmes, who maneuvered in its shadows and built a carefully concealed house of horrors. Now, okay, this is cool. This is a little bit of like the industry insight here. Um, this marks another massive victory for David Greenbaum, who leads Disney Live Action and 20th Century Studios, and Steve Aspel. Oh, President. Wait, just kidding. Never mind. Yes. Okay. Um, sorry, I had a little bit of a mind flare for a second. Okay, so they quickly followed that by landing the sought-after package, The Barrier, starring Austin Butler, with Edward Berger directing. All three projects line up with what Greenbaum wants for 20th: films that embody commercial, global, theatrical, and prestige with A-list talent and original filmmaking. So it doesn't quite say. Uh, it doesn't quite say for sure if DiCaprio and if DiCaprio would act and Scorsese would direct, but DiCaprio is way too old to play H. Holmes. So my guess is that he would play either the detective, but that's where I'm at. Do let's see. Don't this two stories not really come together in a meaningful way, so it kind of lacks an ending. Oh, I didn't feel that way, Gishgali. I felt like Holmes getting apprehended. Holmes gets apprehended in the end, and it felt like the law enforcement officer who's kind of at the heart of it is sort of doing all this stuff with the world, or with the fair, and then he kind of like puts two and two together. If I don't, I might be remembering wrong, but I do remember Holmes being apprehended at the end, and then sort of, so it didn't feel unsatisfying to me. That's what I'll say. All right. So that was a little fun moment. Oh, you know what? We gotta do Yellow Jackets. We gotta do the Yellow Jackets trailer, right? Feel like that's a pretty big one. We've all been on this stream, we've been talking about Yellow Jackets for a minute. And so let's watch the new trailer. Oh wait, where is it? Oh, here we go. All right, so Yellow Jacket season 3. Ooh, get Bill Skarsgård in there and he'll get made quick. If he can get The Crow made, why not this? Hi, Jesus. Nice to see you. Um, Actually, Bill Skarsgård's a little old, but like not too old. He's in his early 30s, right? So I feel like that makes sense for Holmes. I like Bill Skarsgård. I'm not over him yet. Okay. I want to see more from him. I think he's a really good actor. I like all his weird creature stuff. All right, let's talk about Yellow Jackets season 3. The series premieres in less than a month. it's kind of crazy that this is only now like kind of picking up. I know we kind of chatted a little bit about Showtime a couple of like on Monday, but they're just really not trying to promote anything, are they? Um, all right, here we go. Let's just watch the trailer. Oops. Okay. Ready, everyone? Yellow Jackets, season 3.
The only way to be safe is to be the only one left. Once upon a time, a bunch of teenage girls got stranded in the wilderness. They hunted their friends, feasted on their flesh, and they went completely nuts. People are willing to do some messed up stuff just to see another day.
I think Natalie knows what Coach Scott is. Does she deserve to be the leader?
Instead of doing what was right for us, she did what she wanted to do. So tonight, we'll give the wilderness what it wants.
Aren't you worried about what we're gonna have to tell people if we get back? This place will follow us for the rest of our lives.
Someone wants us dead.
Oh, don't
Yeah,
think
Lauren
for a
Ambrose.
second I won't get to the bottom of this.
During the
Are you hiding something?
Yeah, and Elijah too.
Think about how screwed up we would be if we had survived a plane crash only to end up eating each other.
Oh, I do.
The only people that know about this are either us or dead.
The only way to truly be safe is to be the only one left.
This is not healthy.
You really are insane.
I didn't know Hillary Swank was playing either.
Secrets
fun.
will be spilled. Yellow Jackets, new season streaming February 14th.
All right. What do we think, chat? I am here for it. So I don't know if you guys watched Yellow Jackets, but I did. I felt very fortunate that it's funny, we were talking about Dexter on Monday, and I feel like I kind of stumbled onto Yellow Jackets. So I was staying at a friend's house and he had Showtime and I didn't. And Dexter, whatever the Dexter prequel was called, was streaming that weekend, and also Yellow Jackets. And I had seen the image with Christina Ricci that was just like her eyes, and that was like the big poster image, but they really did like zero promotion of Yellow Jackets. And so I was like, oh well, I'll check out the pilot. And then I saw that Karin Kusama, who directed The Invitation, who directed Jennifer's Body, many other things, Karin had directed the pilot. And I was like, oh, what? And so I was like, well, let's watch this. And that pilot is awesome. And so I was like, hold on. So, in fact, if you watched Fear HQ, you know that like I was talking about it and I was saying, like, this is crazy. Why is no one talking about this show? How did we not know that Karin was involved? What is this? So then, of course, the show blows up. It really catches on, which was awesome. But I felt like I didn't get to it via the hype machine. So I really was glad that I was able to experience it the way that I did. I agree with you, Chris. Chris says was a little let down by season 2, still positive on it, but I'm loving this new direction. I couldn't agree more. I felt like season 2 kind of was a thing where they were like, oh, this is huge. This has become a huge show. And we did not anticipate that. And the audience is really proactive online and they're talking a lot. And so season 2 kind of felt a little rudderless to me. Like it didn't feel like it really had a direction or knew where it was going from the beginning. But that said, I mean, like I still liked it. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm never watching the show again. But what I'm hopeful for is that, yeah, season 3 feels like they've got, okay, we're going to address the cannibalism. We're going to address the backstabbing. We're going to address the insanity. Like, we are going to get into this kind of full on. And I think that that's really cool. We're also like, the girls have been in the woods because it's, for those of you who don't know, it's like parallel timelines. So the adults are the present day, and then the girls, the teens, are the past in the 90s. So, but that said, within the trajectory of like how long we've been in with these girls, and the girls have been in the woods, they've been in the woods for a little while. So it's an interesting kind of like an interesting take on all of that for sure. Chris says season 1 of Yellow Jackets is incredible. I totally agree. Alvi says, I've seen season 1, but missed out on season 2. Then again, you know what I think is that if one started watching Yellow Jackets now, I think you would really love season 1, and I think you would like season 2, but at the same time, you would not be waiting week to week for season 2. And so I think it would be less frustrating as a fan. Sometimes I find that when I watch something week to week and it's not quite up to my hopes, I suppose, I like it less. But if I kind of watch it all quickly, or like it's less unsatisfying. So anyway, I'm really optimistic and really hopeful for season 3. And this cast, like everyone in this cast now has blown up. The girls are all stars. Like the adults are, of course, they've just, oh my gosh, they've added so many amazing like 90s actresses like Lauren Ambrose. Perfect casting. So I'm really stoked for this. February 14th, coming up in less than a month, Valentine's Day, of course. Sign me up, I'll be there. And that sounds really fun. So I'm really stoked for that. I think the trailer is interesting. I will say though, I'm definitely gonna have to give it a rewatch. Like 100%. I'm gonna have to start over. It's just, we were talking about this on Monday, like with these series where it's been so long in between seasons. It's really hard to keep up, you know? Okay, so that being said, I wanted to close with some DC news. Hard Eyes Day, that's right, Alan Smithy. Ooh, we're gonna have so much fun stuff to watch. Or Hard Eyes is February 7th, actually. So you can watch Hard Eyes again, and you can watch the premiere of Yellow Jackets. Okay, so let's close out with Supergirl. I thought this was really great for Supergirl, starring Craig Gillespie. We talked about it on Monday. David Krumholtz was announced to play Supergirl's father. Thought that was cool, but this is the first photo starring Millie Alcock, and filming begins. So the latest is to commemorate the start of production on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, star Millie Alcock and DC Studios co-chief James Gunn have shared the first image from the set of the film. And James says, thrilled to see cameras roll at Warner Brothers Studios Leavesden on Supergirl. Gunn posted on social media, also calling out Alcock and director Craig Gillespie, screenwriter, and the screenwriters who wrote and designed the comic that inspired the movie. Alcock is joined by Matthias Schoenaerts, who plays the lead villain, Krem of the Yellow Hills, Eve Ridley as Eve Ridley, and David Krumholtz and Emily Beecham as Supergirl's parents. Jason Momoa will also appear as the alien mercenary Lobo, and Crypto the super dog. Oh, I didn't know Crypto was going to be in it. Oh, that makes me so happy. How cool. What else do we have here? Let's see. Superman obviously comes out in July. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is slated to debut on June 26th, 2026. It's going to be here before we know it. Very exciting, very cool. Super excited for this. I love the team. I'm so glad you guys told me that Craig was involved, because I was like, oh, that's amazing. And hi, Alexander. Clarke, weren't you in a car commercial last year? Can you talk about that? I've been a fan since AMC. Yes, I could talk about it. What do you want to know, Alexander? Yes, I was in a car commercial. Played a boy mom for Chrysler. Drove a minivan. I have a funny story about this actually. So I have a friend who is an actor, and he's also repped by the same agent as me. And he is a dad, two little girls, literally drives a minivan. Uh, but he is also really good looking and cool looking and tall and like just gorgeous skin and just all this. He's lovely. He's wonderful. And so at the same time that my Chrysler commercial where I'm driving a Pacifica and I literally have 4 boy children under the age of 12. That's the character that I'm playing. 4 kids under 4 boys under the age of 12. The spot was called Boy Mom and I played the boy mom. Will's commercial comes out. There's my friend who's an actor who has the same agent as I do. And his car commercial, he books a car commercial and his is a Mercedes and his is just like all this beautiful like flashing lasers and he's just like laid back and like really cool and they're like, isn't it cool? Aren't you a cool dude to drive a Mercedes? And then I messaged him and I was like, excuse me, how the heck is it that you get the cool single guy car commercial Mercedes and I am the one driving a minivan with 4 boys under the age of 12? And he was like, you know, it's funny. I do drive a minivan in real life. And I was like, this is a Hollywood double standard. I tell you what, how dare you? How dare you, Hollywood? So yeah, I always laugh about that because we really did. Our commercials came out like literally at the same time. And I was just like, well, how is this possible? Anyway, that's my funny story. I did not get to keep the car, Gishgali, unfortunately. But, I wouldn't necessarily, I suppose. Well, yeah, I loved it. I loved playing a boy mom. Yeah, soccer mom. I totally, I loved it. All the kids were so fun. I do not have children, as some of you know. And man, it was really fun. Those kids were wild. They were crazy. They were really funny though. So it was a great experience. And sign me up for more minivans. I'll do it. I'll do it. We love a check. We love a job. Another Mr. Lizard says, so if Superman underperforms, will Supergirl go the way of Batgirl? No way. No way. Absolutely not. I did not get to keep the boys either. That was okay though. I will say I was joking with some of my girlfriends who are boy moms. And I sent them like pictures of my costume and they were like, okay, I would actually wear that, except I would not wear khaki pants. But the powers that be really wanted me to wear khaki cargo pants. But I told them, I was like, kids are really amusing and funny and charming, especially when you just get to give them back. You get to be like, see you later. I love children. Maybe one day I'll have some, but for now, it was really, I did not find them annoying. I did not find them tiring. I thought they were hilarious and fun and energetic because they went home with their parents at the end of the day. They were not my children, but they were really sweet. Really, really sweet kids. I love that little spot. Thanks, Chrysler. Please hire me again. All right, y'all. I think that's going to do it for this boy mom of 4. There's my Rufus. Rufus has entered the chat. Hey. Okay, so Rufus is here, but he is kind of far away. Rufus. 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 Hey. Come here. If you want a Rufus cameo, I will try to make it happen. Come here. Hey. Come here. Will you come here? Come here, bub. All right, we have a diva on our hands. We have a diva on our hands. Rufus is saying no pictures. Want to come over here? This is why I can't grow my subscribers on YouTube, because I pull Twitch shenanigans on YouTube. Come here. Oh no, he's exiting the room. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. Rufus has declined to participate in today's stream. I could not afford him. Maybe I'll get him next time. All right, y'all. Thank you again for being here. This was really fun. We'll close with this fun fact from ZSH. Christina Ricci is from New Jersey, where Yellow Jackets is set, as well as where Wednesday Addams and I are from. I love that. How wonderful. Hi, Moon Man. Says, bye, Rufus. I feel like Rufus has a years-long streak of never looking into the camera. It's true. He's very shy. Rufus is out. Yes, Steven, indeed. Bye, Top Dog. See you later. Another Mr. Lizard. As always, okay, this weekend, by the way, as a reminder, so if you are $5 and higher on Patreon, join our Discord. It's really fun. We've been chatting about some of the movies we've been watching and suggesting stories on the Discord and or on Patreon as well. We're going to do our live stream on this Sunday. I think you all chose Abigail. So we're going to live stream Abigail. It's going to be really fun for our movie club members. And yeah, I'll see you guys again here on Monday. Thank you all for all of your support. I really appreciate it. This was really great. And thank you for your feedback. Bye, Jesus. Great to see you. Bye, Alan Smithy. Great to see you. Take care, everyone. Stay safe out there and have a great weekend. And I will see some of you on Sunday. Until then, take care. Bye, everyone.